and James upset. And then after a turnover by Chalmers and another three, this was the Miami bench during this last timeout. Chalmers and James still talking about it, and James gets very upset with Chalmers right here and gets in his face. These two have had that kind of relationship.
Yes.
Chalmers has always been kind of the little brother that they yell at. But you can see the frustration and, Doug, as you said, what this game means to Miami.
Absolutely. You can.
This man's genius literally set him up for a situation where he could make himself a significant amount of money and even regain entry to the NBA during a period of time where, with all due respect, I don't think he has any business being in the NBA, especially considering how he's been out of the NBA for about 3 years. Now, before we get to the content, I wanted to let you guys know we're giving away a subscriber that turns on our notifications, $500. And in addition to that, we are also giving away $500 to any Instagram follower once we get to 50K followers. Now that we got all that out of the way, cue the intro. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? Guys, there's a lot of times where I look at a basketball player and the way he performs on the court, and obviously as a big fan of the game and a student of the game, I respect their basketball ability, think they're tremendous basketball players. But there are specific players and specific athletes, regardless of what sport that they are involved in, that are so brilliant as businessmen that they can completely alter the course of their entire career. An example of this is typically Chris Paul. I think Chris Paul is such a freaking savvy businessman, mainly because during a time where his value was at an all-time low following his year with the Houston Rockets, where they traded him for Russell Westbrook, he eventually went to the OKC Thunder, told the OKC Thunder that he did not want to accept a buyout, rebuilt his value with the Thunder, then got traded to the Phoenix Suns, was a core piece and a huge reason why the Phoenix Suns made it to the NBA Finals, and then did something that I don't think any 36-year-old has ever done. At least I've never seen it happen in the NBA, and that's sign a 4-year, $120 million contract extension that keeps him paid until he is 40 years old. I have never seen something like that, and I think that's a tremendous example of a brilliant businessman. Now, another brilliant businessman is none other than an individual that just got signed by the Miami Heat today. Now, for those of you guys that are too young to know who Mario Chalmers is, he's famous for two things. One, for being on the receiving end of a grand choke job by the Memphis Tigers and Derrick Rose in the 2008 National Championship game, where the Kansas Jayhawks beat the Memphis Tigers to win the national championship. It's one of the all-time choke jobs because Memphis had the game in the bag, missed a bunch of free throws. Obviously, Kansas hit some big shots. But the other thing he's notorious for is being a key role player for the Miami Heat during the time that LeBron James, Chris Bosh, and Dwayne Wade were completely ruling the NBA as the Miami Heatles. Now, the reason why Mario Chalmers is a little bit more beloved than any other Miami Heat role player is, unlike Mike Miller or Rashad Lewis or James Jones or Chris Anderson, or I'm just saying a bunch of players off the top of my head, unlike those players that were signed after LeBron James, Chris Bosh, and Dwayne Wade teamed up on the Miami Heat, Mario Chalmers was actually there for the tough years. He was there during the 2008 to 2009 season. He was part of the draft class that also drafted Michael Beasley, number 2 overall, by the Miami Heat. And at the conclusion of his sophomore season, LeBron James announced that he was going to take his talents to South Beach, join the Miami Heat. Chris Bosh also decided to come along, and Mario Chalmers changed his number famously from the number 6 to the number 15. So the reason I'm telling you all this is now you could get an idea of how freaking old this guy is, okay? And I guess I'm old for saying this because I remember when he was just drafted into the league, but Mario Chalmers is currently 35 years old. And the reason why I'm saying he's such a brilliant businessman is following the 2013 season where LeBron James would eventually go back to the Cleveland Cavaliers, Mario Chalmers would remain on the Miami Heat until the 2014 to 2015 season, and then eventually he would get traded along with LeBron James Enos to the Memphis Grizzlies in exchange for Jarnell Stokes and Bino Udrih. He would stay with the Memphis Grizzlies for about 2 years. He wouldn't really play as much. He was dealing with an Achilles injury, and that's what kind of caused his career to go a little bit downhill. Following the 2017 to 2018 NBA season, Mario Chalmers was out of the NBA, and that's not to say it was a bad career at all. 10 seasons in the NBA as a second-round draft pick, being a core piece and a core role player that was very much respected by those Miami Heat teams. There's a famous clip of LeBron James getting mad at Mario Chalmers for Chalmers calling him out. Playing in the NBA for 10 years and winning 2 championships makes you a fan favorite and is a tremendous career given the expectations placed upon you in the NBA. So afterwards, Mario Chalmers still wanted to hoop. He would go to Virtus Bologna, then Athens, then Aris, which is the Greek basketball league. Then he went to a Puerto Rican basketball league, most recently on September 27, 2021. And this is where the genius comes in, because he would stay in that league for about 3 years, and then on December 18, 2021, he would sign with the Grand Rapids Gold, the NBA G League. Why is that brilliant? Well, here's the thing. Given the date and the time that he did this, clearly Omicron was running rampant over the past 2 weeks. He probably saw Isaiah Thomas get his opportunities, seeing Langston Galloway literally going from just training on his own to signing with the G League to playing on an NBA roster in the span of like a week, must have influenced him to make such a decision, and it ultimately paid off, because after 12 days with the Grand Rapids Gold, my man Mario Chalmers, according to Champ Sharanya, the Miami Heat are signing Mario Chalmers to a 10-day contract. Agent Jerry Dianis tells The Athletic in the Stadium, Chalmers won 2 NBA championships with the Miami Heat. He last played in the NBA in 2018 with the Memphis Grizzlies, and is set to return now with the Miami Heat organization, where he spent 8 of his 9 seasons and won 2 title rings alongside LeBron James, Chris Bosh, and Dwayne Wade. I love this man. This is an example of a person that's very aware of the landscape of the NBA. Due to COVID protocols and the hardship exemptions that are being given away to these teams, he probably saw Isaiah Thomas literally sign a 10-day contract with the Lakers, no offense to IT, but stunk it up with the Lakers for a period of time, then get another opportunity with the Dallas Mavericks. We made a video on that yesterday. Literally 3 hours after Isaiah Thomas was signed by the Dallas Mavericks, the man made his debut that freaking night. So that should give you an idea of the state of the NBA right now. He saw Joe Johnson, a 40-year-old player, which ISO Joe's a remarkable player. I do not mean any disrespect whatsoever, but a 40-year-old player make it back to the NBA and sign with the Boston Celtics. This man saw his opportunity as a 35-year-old. He is returning to the Miami Heat, and honestly, I just have to salute him, man. I love when players really put themselves in situations to succeed. I love seeing individuals seize the opportunity that's in front of them, and that's what Mario Chalmers did here today. If you're a fan of the Miami Heat, let me know in the comment section down below. How do you feel about Mario Chalmers coming back? How long do you think he's going to be able to stay on the roster? Do you think he could eventually find himself in a Udonis Haslem-like role? I'd like to hear what you have to say. Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike, and I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.